Adopted Beagle-harrier won't stop licking woman's face pimple for a strange reason. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to m&rtv and hit the bell so you never miss any upload from us. Also, leave a like right now. Dogs are cute, loyal, amiable, and most importantly, they are the best friends you can ever get in your life if you were lucky enough to find one. No matter how stone-hearted the world gets, they will always be there for you and offer you a shoulder to lean on when you're feeling low. Lauren must have thought the same way when she adopted Victoria from the dog shelter, unaware that she was more than a companion she longed for. It was the month of November. The sky was overcast by clouds and chilly winds were blowing. Lauren was preparing for a case she had to represent that day, and it was one of the most crucial cases that she had to fight and win in any case. So indeed, she had a long day ahead. She had several thoughts in her mind about how she would begin with the case, where she had to take a pause, and what could be the unanticipated questions she could encounter. Would she be able to counter the opposition? The case was very close to her heart, and everything was on the stake. Would she be able to win? With a lot of questioning and cross-questioning, she did manage to win the case as always. She hadn't lost any case the moment she had stepped into the court till now. She had money at her disposal, but still, she wasn't content in her life. There was something missing in it. Would she be able to find the missing pieces of her life's puzzle? As she used to enter her house, the emptiness of the house made it impossible for her to live in that house. It was always ready to eat her alive. No artifacts and antiques in her house gave her a positive vibe when she entered her house, but nothing helped her to feel satisfied. She always had a soft corner for animals, and when it came to dogs, they were her all-time favorite. She had always thought of having a pet at some point in her life, when she was successful, and now when she was well off, she was concerned whether she would be able to take care of one or not. That day, when she returned from the office, she had made her mind that she would adopt a dog before this house ate her up, and within no time, started surfing the same on the internet. Would she be able to find the right companion for herself, and was it so easy? The day was almost over, and she had no luck finding the right dog for herself, so she threw the laptop aside in frustration and went into the kitchen to fetch something to eat, still wondering about the pooch. Would her hunt for the perfect dog come to an end before the dawn broke? The days passed by and received no success in finding a pooch, and hence she was heartbroken, and the sadness was quite visible on her face. But if everything started happening so smoothly, surprises will lose its value, wouldn't they? After receiving no response for several notes and messages that she had left to numerous dog shelters for adoption, she saw one which had hunting hounds, and for a moment she knew her search had ended. Although she wasn't looking for a hunting breed, what was so intriguing about that dog shelter that made her think that way? It was indeed something in that dog shelter that caught her attention. That the distance from New York to South Carolina was her least concern, and no matter how far away, she was ready to cross seas to get there, and this place was just 992 kilometers from LA. Would her quest come to an end? So finally, she booked her ticket for the coming weekend and boarded the train to South Carolina at dawn. She knew she might not get what she wanted, but had an instinct that she wouldn't resent this trip. Was it so? It was yet to be discovered. As she reached the dog shelter in South Carolina, there were several hounds inside it. Each and every pooch was captivating and ready to be taken in, but it wasn't possible for Lauren to take all of them. Then who would she choose and how? She wandered for a while before her eyes were set on a dog whose name was Victoria, a Beagle-harrier breed. There was something in the pooch's eyes that in an instant she knew she will adopt it. The chemistry between them was undeniable. Victoria was a Beagle-harrier breed, and they were generally bred for hunting hares and fox. They were mostly adopted in masses in the hunting season by the local hunters, and when their motive was completed, they were abandoned. The laws for pets were quite free, hence the local hunters took advantage of these laws and adopted the hounds whenever they were needed in the hunting season and deserted them afterward. No matter the injustice, there is no one to raise voice against this inhuman practice. These laws might allow the owner to rightfully get rid of the animal without giving a second thought. But what is the fault of the animals in this case? Victoria was one of the victims of such a tragedy, but it seemed like she had a hero now who would save her. Who knew one day it would change her life? Lauren knew Victoria was the one who she would take home with her, so without wasting a second, she adopted her. And there was indeed an instant connection between both of them. Victoria didn't even bark once and went to her quite calmly, as if they knew each other for ages. When she entered her home, she knew she had to buy a lot of things for the new member. So after settling Victoria in, she rushed to the market to get the dog stuff like food and a bowl and decent basket in which the dog could sleep. She was delighted and excited by her decision of adopting a pooch and didn't regret it once. As the days passed, the bond between the two started to get thicker and stronger. Both loved to cuddle, and whenever Lauren sat to watch TV at night, Victoria would quietly snuggle between her arms. And now, the moment she used to step inside the home, it felt more like a home than just a mere structure of 4 walls standing on the ground. It was one of the usual nights, and Lauren had just reached home from a long day at work. As she opened the door, scratching her nose, an unwanted pimple had made an appearance out of the blue on the side of her nose. Victoria came running from the distance and jumped on Lauren's shoulder. She paused for a while and then started licking her nose. Victoria used to lick her, but that day she particularly licked the part of the nose where Lauren was previously scratching. Lauren tried to distance herself because she was already feeling irritated, but Victoria wouldn't listen and continued licking, which was strange because she had been very obedient since the beginning. What was this about? When Victoria didn't stop, Lauren forcibly put her down and headed towards the kitchen, still scratching the pimple more vigorously, until it started to bleed a little. She washed her face and cleaned the part of her nose, still thinking it to be normal, still clueless of its adversity. Lauren did her daily chores and sat to watch television just like the other nights. But the pimple was still there, irritating her even more after she had emptied all her vessels of water while cleaning it. But the stubborn pimple wouldn't just go away. Victoria, too, didn't stop licking it after Lauren's several attempts to distance her from the pimple. After a week, Lauren had relief as her pimple had disappeared, and luckily without a mark. But for some weird reason, Victoria continued to lick it. Initially, she thought it was her way of showing affection, but as she did it every single time when she came near Lauren, her suspicion grew. She was irritated by this behavior of Victoria's. When the spot went away, Victoria kept sniffing, she said, and I thought, why do you keep putting your wet nose in my face? It was so odd, so she finally decided to get it checked by a doctor. Without any delay, she went for a biopsy the next day. When the results came out, they were quite unanticipated. She had basal cell sarcoma, a common form of skin cancer that accounted for about 32% of all cancers. In Lauren's mind, it was because of the tanning bed she used to visit as a kid, but it was just her assumptions. Soon her treatment started, and she underwent the necessary diagnosis needed to get rid of the monster that was spreading inside her body through the nose. The treatment was indeed very painful, and in this tough time, Victoria stood there for Lauren. She wouldn't sleep at night and stared through the window as she was restrained from entering the room. Lauren was lucky that her nose cancer was discovered in the early stage before it could affect the other parts of her body, and had received a treatment accordingly. Otherwise, cancer might have affected the majority of the nasal tissues as well as other parts of her face too. If that had been the case, it would have resulted in numerous surgeries and might have led to her death too, if gone wrong. But all thanks to Victoria and her smelling senses, she had sniffed cancer in the early stage and saved her owner from catastrophe. Lauren couldn't be more thankful for the pooch, and she had been receiving extra love and rewards. I'm so grateful to Victoria, as you can imagine. She received a lot of treats and hugs, adding, I always knew that hounds had an amazing sense of smell, but I never dreamed that it would have such a huge effect on me personally. After she had recovered, she thought of opening a dog shelter for all the abandoned hounds that were left by their owners on the street after they had fulfilled their needs. So she found Magic's mission Beagle and Hound Rescue while doing her attorney job. Lauren had been constantly doing work to improve these pooches' condition and actively participated in rescuing them as well. According to her, these dogs are devoted to their owners and are affectionate and tolerant. Further, she added, it's appalling how many of them are tossed aside once hunting season is over. They deserve much better treatment. And to that end, Lauren feels like she wants to help more abandoned dogs. Victoria not only proved to be a faithful pet, but a smart pooch too. Harrier beagles are no doubt intelligent and smart. It was a miracle that Lauren found Victoria. When she brought Victoria home, she thought she had given the pooch a new lease on life, and was happy about the same without having a clue that one day she would return the favor by saving her life. What a lucky owner. Dogs aren't just merely a companion, but they are extremely smart, intelligent, and their smelling senses are impeccable. Just like the human brain is ruled by the visual cortex, dogs' brains are dominated by their smell cortex, also called the olfactory cortex. Because of their strong smelling senses, they are preferred in the search operations by police and investigators to find out clues and thieves too. These pooches are not just good at sniffing danger and thieves, but also good at detecting diseases among humans. Just as in the case of Lauren, the hound detected cancer, which could have otherwise resulted in a serious situation. The cancer wasn't just an unanticipated discovery by the pooch, but their smelling cortex has the ability to detect various other cancers along with skin cancer that the pooch had detected in her owner. Their olfactory cortex can detect cancers like prostate cancer by smelling the urine of the patient, and ovarian cancer and bowel cancer. Lauren was constantly admiring her pooch for saving her life, as well as her face. "Victoria saved my life and my face," she said, "and she's earned a lifetime of love and praise. I'd like to tell everyone to pay close attention if your own dog starts to act in a similar way. Your dog might know something that you don't, so don't brush their unusual behavior aside. Go get it checked out. I'm sure glad that I did." Lauren, without any fail, ran the dog shelter, providing a roof on the heads of homeless pooches, and gaining all the love and admiration from in and around the city for her endless efforts. On any occasion, whenever she was appreciated, she never missed an opportunity to mention how Victoria saved her life, and she was just doing her bit. But every pooch is not as lucky as Victoria to be found by such a loving owner like Lauren, and many of them end up on the street, abandoned and malnourished, and meet their end in the most awful way because of certain egocentric people who wanted to gain profit by hook or crook. She had started a mission, but every mission gets successful when everyone plays their bit, just like a movie. It is not an individual effort of any scriptwriter, director, or even an actor, but the whole team, and similarly for this mission, to see the bright side, people too have to participate, otherwise she wouldn't be able to rescue these needy homeless pooches all by herself.